Good day and welcome to Predators Proclivity, where we look at data from the season for the NHL Nashville Predators and make comments upon it. I'm your host, Preston Proctor. Yes, welcome to Monday. Hey, supposed to be in the 40s here today. Very excited. We still got snow. We still got people without power. Oh, yeah, today, a week into it, NES is finally going to bring on more people. Anyway, I said enough about that already. Let's move on because hopefully Bridgestone Arena has power. I think they do. Yeah. Anyway, right. So trades. I guess the big news. I guess the only real. Let's see. We had since the other day. I guess I think I mentioned Panarin is being held out by the Rangers, and there's an article about how he would fit in Florida, and I guess they're trying to figure out how to make that happen. I'm just curious. His salary is $11 million, and so what with, I guess, less than half the season. So I mean, I guess it only cost Florida $5 million. It looks like they're already over the cap, though. So I don't know. Their projected cap space is negative $7.5. Projected playoff cap space, $22 million. So maybe there's room. Current cap space, $2.5. So I don't know. They got Alexander Barkov at $10 million, Matthew Tkachuk at $9.5. Boy, Sam Reinhart, 8.6. Sam Bennett, $8 million. Carter Verhaeghe, $7. Brad Marchand, 5.2. And then Anton Lundell, $5. I think the Preds have 4 forwards at $5 million and up. I don't know. Anyway, so that's the only trade news that I've seen. I'm sure there's got to be something else. I got annoyed the other day. The NHL had like 7 articles, and they were all about Eastern Conference teams. Whatever. I've gone on enough of a rant about that already too. So let's get into it because the Preds are playing tonight. The Preds are playing St. Louis, the St. Louis Blues, a town that's not that far from here. I think I've mentioned a number of times. One of my favorite hockey experiences was in the old arena in St. Louis years ago. I don't know, 25 years ago, something like that. I don't remember. It has to be at least 25 years ago. But great environment. Usually pretty good team. This year, not so much. The St. Louis Blues are coming to Nashville, so they are on the road. They are last in the Central Division with 49 points. They're 20-26-9 on the road, 7-15-3. They do have a winning record at home, 13-11-6. They are 2 points behind Chicago. They played the same number of games. Winnipeg has slipped ahead of Chicago in the standings by the same number of points, but they played one less game. They have a 4-game regulation win advantage, so they would be listed ahead of Chicago anyway. So Winnipeg has slipped ahead of Chicago. And both are 2 points ahead of the Blues, or the Blues are 2 points behind them. We've also had a change in the wild card situation because Anaheim won. And they get I guess it's easier to say the other way. Seattle has the advantage over Anaheim. They played one less game. They have the same number of points. Seattle also has a 3-game regulation win advantage. So Seattle is third in the Pacific, which means Anaheim drops down into a wild card spot, which knocks Utah out of a wild card spot. So the two wild card spots in the Western Conference are now both Pacific Conference teams, Anaheim and LA. And so Anaheim is the first wild card spot for the Blues. They're 11 points behind the Kings. They played one more game. They have 27 games left, so the math is starting to look kind of bad. For St. Louis, this is the first of a 2-game road trip. Wednesday, they'll be in Dallas, and then that's the pause. So they just have 2 more games before the pause, and before a complete fire sale happens in St. Louis. I don't know. But yeah, I think you're going to start taking a look at St. Louis being a seller, and the question is, what are they willing to part with? What do other people want? I haven't done this before. It just occurred to me when I was talking about this, taking a look. But the way I look at things is the players most likely to be traded, players that are unrestricted free agents at the end of the year. They've got a couple. I don't know what any of the stats are for these people, so I'm not going to get into it too much. They do have a 24 restricted free agent at the end of the year. He's out. But he's out. He's going to be out for a while. I think there's something serious going on there. And so let's keep going here. We'll get to some of the personnel. For the series, this is the last. This is it. This is the 4th game against St. Louis. This is it. We'll be done with St. Louis. That's amazing. St. Louis is 1-2 against Nashville. They lost in Nashville 2-7 on December 11th, and then 4 days later, they lost in St. Louis 2-5 December 15th, and then on December 27th, they won in St. Louis 3-2. Last year, St. Louis swept the series with Nashville. They had 1 game in December, and then 3 of the games were in March. This year, 3 games in December, 1 in February. So, and they were close last year too. March 18th, March 23rd, March 27th. So like within like 2 weeks, they played 3 games. It's a schedule. But I don't know. I don't really have a problem with games being close like that. At least I guess they weren't back-to-back, Nashville, St. Louis. We do have a back-to-back. Nashville does have a back-to-back coming up, the next 2 games, but we'll get to that when we get to Nashville. For St. Louis, they have a few players out. Number 63 left wing Jake Neighbors is day-to-day. Expected back today. Hard to say. Probably, my guess would be he's playing. Number 81 left wing Dylan Holloway is week to week as of the 29th of January. He was out when we played last. He had an ankle injury. He came back early, played 1 game, and then went back out with the same ankle injury. So I fear he might have come back too soon. Dylan Holloway, yeah. And then number 18 center Robert Thomas, week to week as of the January 31st, expected back after the pause. Wait a minute. Robert Thomas. Where's Robert Thomas? Thomas. He's got some stats, but he's the second highest play. Well, actually, there's a tie. Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas, both $8.125 million. Both are signed up through 2031, so no problem there with them being an unrestricted free agent. Jordan Kyrou, 8.1, Thomas, 8.1, Pavel Buchnevich, I don't know, $8 million. Braden Shen, 6.5. So, I mean, is he out because he's injured, or is he out because he's on the trading block? That's a question. As far as transactions go, it's kind of funny. Two players were recalled and reassigned on the same day. So on January 29th, number 56 right wing Hugh McGing was recalled and then reassigned to the Springfield Thunderbirds. On the same day, the 29th, number 39 right wing Matt Luff was recalled and then reassigned on the same day. And then he was recalled on the 30th, the next day, and then on the day after that, he was reassigned. So I'm looking at all of this going, what? And on the 31st, number 22 center Pius Suter was activated from injured reserve. So maybe they thought they were going to have to call him up. They thought Suter was coming off IR. They didn't come off IR. I don't know what the heck. But it was funny trying to just follow this stuff because line after line of recalled and reassigned. The Springfield Thunderbirds. Anyway, so with all of that, real quick, CozyEarth.com. Spend to unlock $50 off a $100 purchase. That's just constantly on their site. 2020, let's see, Preds Pro gets you 21% off. And that's CozyEarth.com. They've got skincare. They got stuff for men, women, home decor, bath, bedding. I haven't looked at their skincare. Maybe I'll look at the skincare later. I don't know. It's still don't feel great. I've done my disclaimers on this. Anyway, so that's CozyEarth.com. Preds Pro, 21% off. 25% off Preds Pro, Quantum Energy Squares, quantumsquares.com, but Quantum Energy Squares. Like I said, I recommend the 12 variety pack. And if you get, they've got the two, they've 3 12 packs, but one is just a variety pack, and the other 2 are specific. They got the chocolate fix and the sweet and salty. And both of those have 3 different ones from each other. Funny that the variety 12 pack only has 5 of the flavors. I'm going to have to reach out to them about that because the website does say try all 6 flavors, but they only send you 5. The 12-pack is $28. You free shipping at $35. If you subscribe, 10% off, delivery of 4 weeks. And Preds Pro gets you 25% off. I think the subscription price, too. So caffeine and protein, and they are a staple here in our house. Let's see, the favorite one here is the chocolate chip cookie dough. Anyway, so that's quantumsquares.com. Preds Pro, 25% off. Right. So let's start talking about the Preds. The Preds are 5th in the Central. 5th in the Central with 56 points. They are 25-23-6 at home, 14-12-2. 4 points behind Utah, who is no longer in a playoff spot. 4 points behind Utah. They've played 1 less game than Utah. Utah does have the regulation win advantage with three more regulation wins. And then behind the Preds now is Winnipeg, who has played the same number of games but has 5 less points, but has a 2 regulation win advantage over the Preds. Go figure. Anyway, as far as the wild card spots go, Anaheim is in the first wild card spot. They are 1 point ahead of the Kings, but they played 1 more game than the Kings. They do have a 3 regulation win advantage over the Kings, so they would win that tiebreaker if they were tied. The Preds have played 1 less game. If they played that 1 game, they only got 1 point. Then Anaheim would get the tiebreaker and regulation wins. But Not really tracking that too much, except that the Kings are now in the wild card 2 spot, which is the spot we're tracking. But the wild card 1 and wild card 2 spot are fairly close on to each other. As far as the Preds go, they are 4 points behind the Kings. They play the same number of games. They do have a 4-game regulation win over the Kings, and that they'd have to get over Utah and San Jose and then Utah, however you want to say it, Utah higher in the rankings. Utah's got 60 points. The San Jose has 58. The Preds 56. Sharks have played one less game than the Preds, and the Mammoth have played one more. Preds do have the regulation win advantage over the Sharks, but not Utah. They do have it over both the Kings and the Ducks. They do not have it on Seattle, but they're currently in the third position in the Pacific. Third position in the Pacific, but they're only 3 points behind the Knights and the Oilers. They're tied at 64 points. Knights have played one less game. So the top of the Pacific is tight. Well, I guess the Pacific is tight because if you look at the Kings at 60 points, and the Knights at 64, and there are 5 teams there. Well, San Jose is at 58. So, yeah, there's 5 of the Pacific teams are within 4 points of each other at the top. So Vegas can't be that comfortable right now. Their last 10, they're 3-5-2. They've lost 5 in a row. Wow. Yeah. The Kraken have won 4 in a row. 5-4-1 in their last 10, but they've won. Oh my gosh, they must have sucked in the games before that. They've won 4 in a row, and they're 5-4-1 in their last 10. Okay. For the Preds, this is the first of a 2-game homestand. Wednesday, they play Minnesota here in Nashville, the front end of a back-to-back, because Thursday they go to Washington and play Washington. Neither Minnesota nor Washington are playing in a back-to-back situation, so that kind of puts Nashville in a little bit of a disadvantage. And then after the game in Washington will be the pause. So the Preds have 3 games between now and the pause, and hopefully we'll take them all. That'd be great. But yeah, 2-game homestand starting tonight. St. Louis Blues. Player update expected back today. Number 37 defenseman Nick Blankenberg. He's been day-to-day, missed the last game. And then number 42 defenseman Nicholas Haig, week-to-week, expected back on the 26th. So after the pause, no notable transactions since they sent Zechkov to Milwaukee injured. There you go. And that takes us to stats. Right. So I did a whole bunch of stuff in my spreadsheets, and then I realized that when I'm going through the goal scoring home and away, I actually had built another sheet with more information in it, and I've just been missing it because I've got they got that data here on the summary sheet, but it's all kind of crowded up and mixed up, and I don't even actually know quite what I'm looking at. I've got some ratios and numbers and stuff, and actually I broke that out into another sheet so it would make more sense, and I just haven't looked at it all season long. Till I was going through and going, oh yeah, I need to update this sheet. I wonder what's on this sheet. Oh, look at that. Anyway, so yeah. So we'll get to that. That's what we need. We need more numbers because I've heard some people aren't getting the good sleep that they normally get by listening to this podcast. Anyway, the Preds are at home. Let's talk about the first goal. The first goal of the game, the Preds are 7-3-1 at home when they get the first goal. If it happens in the first period, they're only 5-3-1. So that's just kind of a coin flip, frankly, between a win and a loss. It's an overtime loss. You won adding it to the loss. If you want to talk about points, then it's 5.5-3. But if it happens, if the Preds get it and it's in the second period, they're undefeated 2-0-0. If the Preds do not get the first goal, it's not the end of the world. 7-9-1. So they got 7 wins either way. 7 wins either way. Get it or don't get it. Doesn't matter to me. I'm going to beat you anyway. 7-9-1. If it happens in the first period, a little bit of a problem. 5-8-1. But it happens in the second period, 2-1-0. That was 2-0 until the game recently, where the first goal happened in the second period and they lost here in Nashville. But that's the first goal of the game. Winning by period, no real good period here in Nashville. The first period, they are 6-8-14. If they get the first goal, they have not lost the first period. They're 6-0-5. If they do not get the first goal, they have not won the first period. 0-8-9. If they don't get it, it's still kind of a coin flip between losing it and tying it. Then I guess the same with getting it, kind of a coin flip between winning the period and tying it. And there you go. First goal, and it's in the period 6-0-3. I guess twice. Yeah, twice if they would have gotten the first goal in the second period, and then ergo they would have tied the first period. Duh. Okay, anyway, so that's not as interesting of a stat as I thought it might be. Let's move on. The second period, 7-9-12, fairly even distribution between winning, losing, and tying, with the emphasis on tying. The tying getting the most votes in the first and second, which is for the longest time, and we'll see if it's still true, I've been polling here in Nashville to tie the first and second because that's their best record. If they get the first goal, their record in the second period is 3-4-4, so pretty much a coin flip on any result. If they do not get the first goal, they are 4-5-8 in the second period. So if they didn't get the first goal, they didn't win the first period. It doesn't look promising to win the second period. And just a little preview here, it's not real promising for them to win the third period. So, that's kind of a disturbing thing to look at here. Is if they don't get the first goal, they're unlikely to win any period. And if you don't win any periods, you got to win one period to win the game. If you win 3, you definitely win. If you win 2, odds are pretty good. You're going to win. But if you don't win at least 1, you're done. Stick a fork in it. Coming up on the third period, the Preds are 8-13-7. So the highest number going to losing the third period, which is another disturbing characteristic. If they got the first goal, 4-4-3. 4-4-3 in the third period. If they do not, 4-9-4. So the odds are not good for the Preds winning a period when they don't get the first goal. It's very disturbing. They're quite capable of losing a period, generally not the first, but they're the second or third, pretty even odds on losing the second, third period if they got the first goal. But if they did not get the first goal, the odds of winning any period is just awful. Don't care for that. But let's see. What I do care about is how win, losing, tying correlates to win, losing the game. So here we are. The first period at home, 6 times they have won the first period, and 3-3. Getting the first goal, not or winning the first period, not a good indicator. I guess is no indicator. It could win or lose the game. 8 times they have lost the first period, 2-6, so pretty strong there. 3-1 advantage that they're not going to win the game if they lose the first period. If they tie the first period, 9-5, so about a 2-1 advantage for the Preds winning the game if they tie the first period. Woohoo, go Ties. Looking at the second period, 7 times they've won the second period, but they're only 4-3 in those games, so again, kind of a coin flip. Losing the second period, 1-8, 9 times, 1-8, and then we move to tying the second period. 9-3. 12 times they've tied the second period. They're 9-3 in those games. Go tie the second period. I love it. 9-3. 3-1 advantage for the Preds, winning the game if they tie the second period. You got to be kidding me. Okay, third period. Third period. 8 times they've won the third period. They're 7-1 in those games. So yeah, tie the second, win the third. I'm all excited about that. Let me just look down here. Tie. Oh yeah, that's only happened 3 times. Yeah. Tying the that's the wrong graph. Tying the second, winning the third has happened 4 times. Yeah, and they're 4-0-0 in all of those. Woohoo! Love it. Right. So 7-1 in the third period when they win. When they lose the third period, they're 1-12. 1-12. I guess it's not surprising. But if they tie the third period, they're 6-1. Now, you can't tie all 3 periods. You just go to overtime, and their overtime record is okay. But it's just win it in regulation and go home. Taking out the empty nets, the numbers change slightly. Still, the Preds have won the third period 8 times, but they're 6-2 now. And then in the losing the third period, taking out the empty nets, they're now 2-8. And then tying the third period with taking out the empty nets, 6-4 in those games. Taking a look at the combinatorics of all of this, as I did look up the one thing that I had been curious about, and I don't know if I remember what the circumstance was, but I'll fake it anyway. So the scenario that has happened the most is tying the first, tying the second, and that's happened 7 times here in Nashville. What they have played, 28 games? So that's 25%. Don't even have to really do hard math at that point. So 7 out of 28, they've tied the first, tied the second, and they've won all of those games. The scenario that has happened the second most, there's 2, and those are 4. So we go from 7, something happening 7 times, to, I guess, kind of an even distribution across the other combinations, the 9 different combinations of win, losing, tying the first and second. 4 times they have lost the first and tied the second, and they're 1-3-0 in those situations, just rounding off the whole tying the second period. When they win the first period and tie it, this has happened the least number of times. It's only happened once. It's the only scenario that's happened only once. So tying the second period has happened 12 times, and they are 9-3-0 in those circumstances. And the 3 losses all in the losing the first, tying the second. So if they don't lose the first and they tie the second, good news. It's good news. So then the next thing that has happened 4 times is to tie the first and lose the second 4 times. And that's 1-2-1. That's no bueno. Sticking with losing the second period. If they lose the first period, that's happened twice, and they're 0-2 in those. And then what happened in the last home game, they did win the first, lost the second. So that's happened now 3 times, and they've lost all 3 of those. Losing the second period, no bueno. 1-7-1 in those games. And so that's just a really bad indicator there. Then looking at the scenarios where they win the second period, they have tied the first period and then won the second period 3 times. They're 1-1-1. I did look that up, and it looked like what do I remember? I remember two of them go to overtime. One's definitely an overtime loss. No, I think overtime loss. 2 of them I think were at home. All 3 of these were at home. I forget. But it's just kind of weird that they tie the first and then win the second, and that's a worse scenario than tying the first and tying the second. It's just kind of crazy that way. Losing the first, winning the second, a little bit of reversal of fortunes happened twice. They're 1-1 in those situations, and the 2 times that they've won the first and won the second, they're 2-0. No problem there. So what were I looking at here? The second. Just a quick look up here at the correlation between the second and third period. When they lose the second period, they have not lost the second period and tied. That has not happened yet this year. Losing the second, tying the third. But the losing the second, losing the third, that's the most frequent thing. That's 7 times there as well. So that's pretty amazing. 7 times. Wow. Yeah, 7 times they have tied the first and tied the second. 7 times they've lost the second and lost the third. And those would be non-exclusive or they would, what's the term? Those not exclusive, but those sets would be different numbers because, they would have had, in one scenario, they tie the second, in the other, they lose the second. So that's half their games. Half their games, they've tied the first, and tied the second, or lost the second and lost the third. I wonder if they've ever tied the first and then lost. Well, tied the first and lose the second has happened 4 times. They're 1, 2, and 1 in those scenarios. So 1, 2, and 1. I have to take a look at this. Look and see how much correlation there is between tying the first and losing the next 2. Anyway, yeah. So, lots of good things when they win the third period. So if they win the second, they're 2-0. If they lose the second, they're 1-0-1, and if they tie the second, they're 4-0. So, yeah. Yeah, if they tie the second and tie the third, they're also 4-0. 4-0-0. Yeah, tying the second has really good results. Really good results. The only losing the third, they've lost 3 of those games. Yeah. So kind of goofy that way. All right. Anyway, so that is our result correlations, and which takes us to talking about goal scoring. Right. And so we start out by talking about when the winning goal gets scored. And the winning goal here, when the Preds are at home, they got the one home game that they was in Sweden, so I still have to catch myself when I say here in Nashville, although I think it still rolls off the tongue pretty well. But when the Preds are at home, the most common thing is for the winning goal to be scored in the third period, 10 times. Let's see, the Preds have played 28 home games, so 10 times, 36%. The winning goal is being scored in the third period. Next up is the second period, 29% with 8. And then it falls off to 4 times in overtime and 3 in the shootout and 3 in the first period. When the Preds win 6 times, 43%. The Preds get the winning goal in the third period. The next most frequent thing is a shootout. Shootout. So 6 times in the third period, 3 times in a shootout, twice in overtime, twice in the second period, and only once in the first period. When the Preds lose, the winning goal is predominantly scored in the second. In the second period, 43%, 6 times. After that is the third period with 4. And then overtime in the first period with 2. So there you go. The Preds score with the winning goal in the third period. The opponents in the second. I think last year it was kind of reversed. The visiting teams were scoring the winning goal in the third, and home teams in the second. I bring up that spreadsheet real quick, but I'm not going to. For home teams winning, and that games including the Predators, 29, the home team has won. And the majority of the plurality, the highest number is the third period, 31%, 9 times, 7 times in the second. When the road team wins, 25 times the road team has won, 10 times in the third period, and 8 times in the second. So, there you go. Both home and road teams getting the winning goal in the third period, which is interesting. It kind of contradicts the here in Bridgestone, here when the Predators are at home, with the winning goal more frequently being in the second period than the third. But there you go. That's what the numbers are. So that's the winning goal. And then if we go to, where was that? Division calcs. No. Scores overall. Oh, here we go. Yeah. This is where that is. What in the world? Okay. So anyway, so goal scoring. Don't really look at this sheet very much. But here we put a lot of work into it. Let's see what we got here. So when the Preds are at home, they are being outscored by their opponents by 4 in the first period, 21-25. They're being outscored in the second period, 27-29, and they're being outscored in the third period, 27-34. As far as back to the first period, when they win, they're only outscoring their opponents 12-9, and they're being outscored 9-16 when they lose. The second period is a little bit better for the Preds, 17-11, outscoring their opponents when they win the game, 10-18 when they lose, so still an 8-point differential there. And then the third period, the Preds are outscoring their opponents 18-8 in the third period. When they win, and when they lose, they're being outscored 26-9. And so then what did I go? I went and I took the third period and I took out empty nets because I've been wondering about that. Yeah, so when they win the game in the third period, they've gotten 5 empty nets. So they're outscoring their opponents 13-8 without the empty nets. Without removing those as well, they're still, when they lose, they're still being outscored 2-1, 17-9. And overall, they're only being outscored by 3. 22-25, so at least that's closer, but it's still, it's still not good. One of the other charts I got down here is the min max. And the thing that's kind of interesting is that when the Preds lose, the minimum that the opponents have ever scored is 1. So that's kind of interesting that when the Preds lose the game, the opposition hasn't not scored in the third period. There are a bunch of zeros for the minimums across all the periods in all the situations. That's the only one that kind of stands out. There was some numbers in this grid was a lot more interesting last year, but I forgot all about this. I got the maximums in the periods and I don't know that any of that is just too interesting just to kind of sift through, but I switched to the page and we talked about it. So that is right, goal scoring. The last thing to talk about is the difference in goal scoring in the second and third period based upon how they come into the period. And one of the things I did was generate the win-loss, overtime loss records for those different scenarios. So let's go through it here. In Nashville, the most common scenario is to tie the second period. So let's start with the second period. Tying the second period has happened 14 times, or coming into the second period tied has happened 14 times. And the Preds are 12-14, are being outscored 12-14 in that scenario. in those 14 games, the Preds do have a 9-3-2 record. So that's pretty good. They're being outscored in the second period when they come into the second period tied, but at least the final record is pretty good. Next up is to come into the second period losing. That's happened 8 times. In those situations, the Preds are even with the opposition, scoring 6 goals each. The Preds in those 8 scenarios are 2-6-0. So that's no bueno. But I guess there's 2 wins at least. And then 6 times the Preds have come into the second period winning and even scoring there as well, 9-9. So, and those 6 games are 3-3. So a coin flip on whether they're going to win the game. So, yeah, coming into the second period, they're pretty even scoring. The only thing is if they come tied, the other team has scored 2 more goals. Again, that's over the course of 14 games, and so 12-14. So I guess the percentage wouldn't be that great, but yeah, interesting how the numbers are the same, but if they come into the second period winning or losing. Looking at the third period, the scenario that's happened the most is to come into the third period losing. That's happened 13 times, and they're being outscored 13-21. In those scenarios, the Preds have 1 empty net goal and the opposition has 9. So taking out the empty net goals, it's even 12-12. But of those 13 such scenarios, the Preds are 2-10-1. So I guess they've come into the third period losing, and they have changed their fate. I guess 3 times. They kept the scenario from being a straight-out loss, got points, won 2 of the games, so that's good. Next up, 9 times coming to the third period tied. They are outscoring the opposition 9-5 in those scenarios with 2 empty net goals for the Preds, 7-5 taking the empty nets out. And those scenarios would come into the third period tied 9 times, and they're 8-1. 8-1 in those games. So that's good. Like I said, tie the second period, man. Tie the first, tie the second. The 6 times, the fewest of the scenarios for the third period. 6 times they've come into the third period winning, and they've been outscored 5-8 in those 6 games. They are 4-1-1 in that scenario. So the opposition has changed their fate twice. So that's a third of the time, which isn't quite as good. I guess 3 out of 13. What is that? That's just under a quarter. But yeah, not the best news ever, but 4-1-1. There you go. And so that is I like that. I like knowing what the record is. That's something else. 9 times they've come 9 times they've come into the third period tied, and 8-1, and those 8-1-0 in those scenarios. Coming into the second period tied, they're 9-3-2 in those. Yeah, man. Yeah. Tie those games. Tie those games. Yeah. I mean, it's a better record than if they come in winning. I mean, that's just bizarre. Yeah, I mean, you'd think if the Preds came into the third period winning, they'd have a better record than coming into the third period tied, but they don't. I mean, 4-1-1 isn't that bad of a record, but 8-1-0. Strange days indeed. Okay, well, I think we've talked enough about goal scoring. Let's head to the matchups. Okay, so we been clearing up data left and right, and excuse me, St. Louis. Yes, we're playing St. Louis. Yeah, that's right. I do have some new data in here. I got the ranges for shorthanded goals, which is not that exciting, but at least I've got it. It was one of my notes, and I've missed it, but I found it this morning. Got the production staff on it, and well, we have it. Whether we use it or not, who knows? Right, so the matchup. So we are playing the St. Louis Blues tonight. Tonight, 7 p.m. at Bridgestone Arena. So the Preds are home and the Blues are on the road. So what are we doing? We're talking about goal scoring. All right, so the Blues have played 25 games on the road, and which is one of the lower ones. So 27 teams have played more games. 3 have played the same, and only one team has played less games than the Blues. Right. I don't know what I moved everything around, and now I don't know what to look at. Okay. Right. So St. Louis has played the one of the lesser number of road games, and so that's why we look at things on a per game basis. So on the road, the Blues are 31st in the league in scoring, 2.4 goals a game. The league average is 3.01. They're scoring 2.4. In the first period, 0.76 to a league average of 0.87. And then in the second period, 0.96, which is close to league average. And then in the third period, they are last in the league at 0.68, league average 1.07. The raw numbers, they've scored 19 goals in the first, 24 in the second, and 17 in the third. And that definitely doesn't follow the trend in the NHL to score less goals in the third than the second. That would be a home trend, but not that much less. Anyway, so what about giving up goals? Well, goals against on the road, they're third. Woof. Wow, they're fourth in the league at home, too, giving up goals. Wow, no wonder they're having a bad season. Anyway, yeah, so they're third. 3.68 goals against per game, league average 3.1. So 3.13, so more than half a goal more than league average. And it's the first and second periods. First and second periods. First period 1.12, second period 1.48. They're fifth in the league in giving up goals in the first, third in the league in the second. League average in the first is 0.89, so about 0.23 over. 1.1 is the league average in the second period, 1.48. So again, 0.3, almost 0.4. The third period, not a little bit stingier, at least 0.96. 0.96 in the third period, league average 1.07. So they are below average in giving up goals in the second period. So that's good for them. But yeah, just on raw numbers, again, 27 teams have played more games than them, but they are fifth in the league in giving up goals. Just the raw number, 37 goals in the second period is fifth in the league, and 27 teams have played more games on the road than St. Louis. So that's good. Hopefully good for the Preds. So that's how the Preds stack up against this. Well, the Preds have played 28 games at home, which is one of the higher numbers. 8 teams have played more, 5 have played the same, 18 have played less. So they are 25th in the league and scoring 2.75 goals a game at home. 3.12 is the league average. The first period, they're 24th with 0.75, and then in the second, 0.96, the same number as St. Louis. And then in the third, 0.96, so the Preds have not even scored a goal a game at home in any period. So 0.75, 0.96, 0.96. League average, 0.89, 1.09, 1.06. That's not, not the raw numbers are not good either. So not a lot of scoring. The Preds do have a winning record here at home. So what about giving up goals then? Well, they are 11th in the league on a per-game basis on giving up goals, 3.21. League average is 3.01. So giving up 0.2 goals a game more than league average. Not in the first period, 0.89. A little stingy, 0.89. League average is 0.86. So right at the league average in the first period. The second period, 1.04, which is just a little ahead of league average, 0.99. And then in the third period, open up the floodgates and let them score. Give them let them have a little parting gift. 7th in the league with 1.21, league average 1.07. So well above, 0.14. They're just slightly above average in the first and second period, but a lot more in the third. So fortunately, St. Louis doesn't like to score in the third, so that should be fine. All that'll get wiped out. We'll probably have a 0-0 tie. We'll probably get to go to a shootout before the first goal gets scored. That sounds like an exciting game. Okay, so that's goal scoring. What about the penalty kills and the power plays? What about special teams? Yes, so special teams are special. We start with the penalty kill, and on the road, the Blues are 30th in the league, 71.6%, 21 goals against on 74 opportunities. They have scored 3 shorthanded goals on the road. And as far as time shorthanded per games played, they're 19th in the league, so not league average, I guess, just below. Goals against per games played, they're 8th. So, they're explains why their penalty kill is 30th in the league, 71.6%. For the Preds have the second best penalty kill in the NHL, 84.9%. 13 goals against on 86 opportunities. So the Preds have given up 8 less goals on 12 more opportunities. They have scored 2 shorthanded goals. And as far as time shorthanded per games played, they're 4th in the league. So a lot of penalties for the Preds here at home. As far as goals against per games played, 26th in the league. So fourth in the league on times shorthanded, 26th on game goals being given up. So yeah, second best power play. I think Chicago has the best percentage anyway. The net ranking, the Preds are 3rd, and which means that somebody jumped over them with their shorthanded goals. As far as the power play, how did the power play stack up? The St. Louis 24th. They are 16.4%, 12 goals for on 73 opportunities. They've given up 1 shorthanded goal. Times on the power play, 13th in the league. Goals for per games played, 21st. So not in the direction you'd like that to be if you were a Blues fan. So none of those numbers sound that very good. Their penalty kills not that great. Their power play is not that great. What about the Preds power play? Well, they're 14th in the league at home, 20%, 17 for 85, which means they've scored 5 more goals than the Blues on 12 more opportunities. They have not given up a shorthanded goal this season. As far as times on the power play per games played, they're 19th in the league, so league average. And then goals for, 17th. So that is, those numbers go in the right direction for those of us that are pulling for the Predators. So yeah, the Preds power play is okay. Their penalty kill is good. And the penalty kill and the power play for the Blues, not so swift. There you go. So what does that take? Oh, no. We don't have the people to watch yet because we've got my numbers, my special teams numbers. And I did get the combined percentages. Here we are at home. Yeah. The Preds pretty good in the first and third period, 23% in the first period, 22% in the third, only 14% in the second period. They do have they get more opportunities in the third period, so having a 22% power play in the third period is good because they've had 37 opportunities. They've scored 8 goals on those 37 opportunities. Second period, their power play is just not good. It is at home. It is the second highest number of times, 29. They've scored 4 goals on 29 opportunities, but to compare the first period, they've had less opportunities but more goals, 5 goals on 22 opportunities. So the number of power play opportunities for the Preds increases through the periods here at home. They're not scoring more goals in the second period, though, unfortunately. For the opponents have had, in total, the Preds have had 89 opportunities. The opponents have had 92. And the Preds have scored 17 goals to the opposition's 13. So those numbers at least go in the right direction. The Preds do give up the most number of power plays in the second period, 35, followed quickly by the first, 33, and then the least is in the third period, 24. But the third period is where they've given up most of their goals. The opposition is 25% effective in the third period, only 9% in the first. 3 goals on 33 opportunities, 4 goals on 35 in the second. So 9% in the first, 11 in the second, and then 25 in the third. So the Preds giving up a goal on the power play, most likely, I guess they'd be on the penalty kill, would be in the third period. Combined, interesting, neither Nashville nor the opponents are that effective when the Preds are at home. 14% for Nashville, 11% for the opponents. That averages out to 13% for power play in the second period, 15% in the first. So the Preds at 23%, way better than their opposition at 9%. And the opposition's had half more opportunities in the first than the Preds, but the Preds have scored almost twice as many goals. That's something there. Both teams about even in the third period, 22 for the Preds, 25 for the opponents, but the Preds have had 13, have had more than 50% opportunities than their opposition, and they have a third more goals. So half more opportunities, third more goals. So that number doesn't thrill me, but there you go. So if they're going to be penalties in the game, well, I guess the opposition's got 35 in the second, and the Preds 37 in the third. But the second period, not really a time for power play goals, even though the Preds did get one the other night. And with that does take us to people to watch. Okay, so what do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people listed for St. Louis. 2 are injured. 1 is playing with the Thunderbirds, so we won't see any of them tonight. First up is number 63 left wing Jake Neighbors. First in goals on the road with 10. But he does have a 30% shooting percentage. So he leads the team in goals and leads the team, okay, so let's just get this out of the way. Number 56, right wing, Hugh McGing. He's the player that got called up and sent back on the same day. He's got 1 goal on 1 shot, so he's perfect, 100% shooting percentage on the road for St. Louis. But he's not going to be in the game. So Neighbors then has, of the people that could potentially be in the game tonight, has the highest shooting percentage, but he's injured. He might be back, but he may not. But he's 30% shooting percentage, and he's got the highest number of goals on the road for the team. So that makes him a dangerous guy. Next up is number 18 center Robert Thomas, also injured. He's second on the team in goals with 6, second in assists with 8, so he leads the team in points with 14. And he is fourth on the team with a shooting percentage of 21.4%. He's got 6 goals on 28 shots. Also injured, though. He, I'm pretty sure, will not be back tonight. Then up, also second in goals is number 72 defenseman Justin Falk. He's second on the team in shots. Then with leading the team in assists is number 89 left wing Pavel Buchnevich. Let's go with that. Buchnevich. That's probably all wrong, but hey, it's Buchnevich first with 9. He's also tied for first with assists with 14, for points with 14. And he's fifth in ice time with 18-11. So he is the forward on the ice the most. And then we've got number 17 defenseman Cam Fowler, who's second on the team in assists, tied for second with 8. And that's his only thing. Then we got defenseman number 6, Philip Broberg, who's first on the team in time on ice with 22.43. And then first, all these people have one stat. Number 25, right wing Jordan Kyrou, first on the team in shots with 51. And number 21, right wing Jimmy Snuggerud, second on the team, tied for second with 49. Then finally, number 29, right wing Jonathan Berggren is third on the team in shooting percentage with 25%, 1 goal on 4 shots. So the two most dangerous people are both injured. So it's all left up to the $8.125 million man Jordan Kyrou and Pavel Buchnevich. We're going with Buchnevich. Oh, yeah, and Berggren, the number 29. Berggren, I thought was interesting. He was claimed off waivers from Detroit back in the middle of December, so he's only played 8 road games with St. Louis, and he's 1 for 4 on shots in those 8 games. So I don't know what his record was with Detroit, but probably don't need to worry too much about him, just from a shooting percentage standpoint anyway. As far as Nashville goes, we have less players to talk about. First up, number 91 center Steven Stamkos, first in goals with 15, second in shots with 69, has a shooting percentage of 21.7%. 21.7%. Next up, number 9, left wing Philip Forsberg, second on the team in goals with 13, second on the team in points with 24, first on the team in shots with 92. Mr. Stat, number 90, center Ryan O'Reilly, third on the team with goals with 9, first on the team in assists with 17, leads the team in points with 26, leads ice time for all forwards with 20-25. He's third on the team. Then you get number 77, right wing Luke Evangelista, who's second on the team in assists with 15, third on the team in points with 19. And then number 59, defenseman Roman Josi, third on the team in assists with 12, leads the team in ice time with 23.42. So that is your Preds. Takes us to momentum. Who has momentum? Well, that's a tough question. The St. Louis is 7-15-3. They had a 5-game losing streak in late January. Then they won a game and lost the last one. So they're 3-6-1 in their last 10. 0-3 on their last road trip, which was part of that 5-game losing streak, and they're 5-11-0 versus the Central Division. Nashville at home is 14-12-2, did win their last game, which ended a 3-game losing streak, 5-3-2 in their last 10. In the last home stand, they were 1-2 against the Central. They are 7-9-2, and that's another stat that I was looking at. I started looking at divisions and doing some more calculations with regards to the Preds and how they do against the Central or all the divisions. And it turns out that the Preds here at home against the Central Division are only 1-6 in regulation. While they're 7-9-2 against the Central Division, not so good here in Nashville. 1-6 in regulation, 0-1 in overtime, and 1-0 in a shootout. So against the Central Division here in Nashville, they're only 2-7. they're only 2-7, and so who have they played? Well, they played Chicago, lost to Chicago. They played Colorado and lost to Colorado, and they played Dallas twice and lost both of those. And then they did beat St. Louis here in Nashville. That's the only team that they have beaten in the Central Division here at home. That's their only win in regulation is against St. Louis. Then they've lost to Utah and they've lost to Winnipeg one game. So that the overtime loss also came against Utah, and then the shootout win came against Colorado. So, yeah, the Preds are not very good here at home versus the Central Division. This is just 1-6 in regulation. So I guess overall they're 2-7, or I guess actually 2-6-1. The winning records would be 4-3, so 5-4 on the road. But yeah, the 7-9-2, and that's just not a very good record at home against the Central Division. That's what I found out yesterday. I was just shocked. But anyway, that's what it is. So yeah, momentum. Looking for it anywhere you can. The Preds definitely in the hunt. St. Louis not having the best season, but you got to play the game. You got to show up, and you got to have focus. And so hopefully the Preds show up. They got focus. They've got a back-to-back coming up against Washington and Minnesota. I think. I know Minnesota is in a playoff position. I think Washington is not currently in a playoff position. Wow, they're 6 points there. Wow, there's a big gap in the East between the teams that are in the wild card spots and the ones trailing them. 6 points between Buffalo and Columbus, and then or Buffalo and Washington both have 61 points. So yeah, hopefully. The Preds aren't looking past St. Louis towards Minnesota, or they're going to get their hat handed to them. So that's what it all comes down to. Can the Preds keep the focus on what they're doing that day? I think the phrase I've been hearing a lot is they're trying to win the week, and so this is a good way to start. They got to focus tonight and win the night. You got to win the night to win the week. So anyway, that's what we got. 7 o'clock tonight, Bridgestone Arena, the St. Louis Blues playing the Nashville Predators. Thanks for listening. I'm Preston Proctor, and you've been listening to Predators Proclivity.